Most artists don't have a content problem. They have a storytelling problem, and that's why people don't follow. We live in a culture where our attention is constantly getting sucked down these For You pages, these algorithms, these endless scrolling feeds. Sometimes when I'm working with clients, I have to remind them of how they consume content and how they're actually interacting with that content. And I have to ask them, how often do you actually see a piece of content and then go to the page and actually follow that person? The overwhelming answer is usually it's very rare. And how does this pertain to you as an artist? Well, when you're creating content for your music and you're just like putting things out, it sometimes can feel like a random shotgun spray of like something over here, something over here, something over here. And you might think one thing works and you might get more views on that one particular piece of content. But then when people come to your page, there's nothing else like that content. There's no story. When somebody follows you, they're not saying, I like this video. They're saying, I trust you with my attention again. And that's a much bigger decision. They follow because they believe there's a next chapter or there's a missing piece to the story that they're going to find out if they keep following you. When your content all feels connected and when it all feels like it's coming from the same place, people tend to relax. They understand the tone. It's easy for their brain to comprehend what's happening. They understand the emotional lane that you're in and they know what they're signing up for when they follow you. Random content collapses context, and when the context collapses, the brain checks out. And stories are the thing that gives your brain something to hold on to. And I think that that's the biggest distinction between what I like to call stickiness. They like what's happening in that piece of content, and then they come to the page and there's a lot more of that content. Here's a simple test. If somebody watched 3 random videos from your page, would they understand what you're about? Would they understand the story that you're trying to tell? Now, the reason that I think that storytelling is the most important thing that you can do as an artist is because for thousands of years, we've told stories, and that's how things have been kept alive through generations. We've heard stories of our grandparents and, stories of all the way back from the Bible and everything. So like stories, when they're done right, can be probably one of the most powerful tools that you can use as an artist. And if you're not familiar with how to storytell, I would suggest that you dive into the work of Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey. You will be able to watch movies and you won't be able to unsee how the hero's journey plays out in all these great stories. And the reason that this matters in an FYP world, in an endless doom scrolling world, is because when people are seeing your content and they're scrolling past it, what is going to get them to follow you? What is going to get them to want to dive deeper into your world? That is storytelling. That is, what else is there about this artist? And now this is a big one that artists also need to understand, that the story that you're telling is not your aesthetic. It's not your color palette. It's not your outfits. Your story that you're telling is what stays consistent when all of that other stuff, all of the aesthetic stuff changes. If you're a girl that makes punk rock music and you put out a song about getting kicked while you were down from maybe like an ex-boyfriend or something like that, they really resonate with the story of those lyrics. They come to your page and the rest is you singing happy acoustic songs or happy cover songs. Somebody who's feeling the emotions that you're saying in that story are probably not going to stick. And there's bands that are absolutely nailing this. I mean, the biggest example is Taylor Swift. We have artists like The Weeknd who have comic book style story going through their album narratives. We also have 21 Pilots, who absolutely is building an insane world for their fans. I think those are the artists that are going to stand the test of time and the artists that are really crushing it. Now, if you're a new artist, I'm not telling you to go out and build entire comic books or immersive worlds on cinema. Have something that you're saying and tell that story in an artful way and have that come through your content. Have that come through your art, because I'm sure there's so many people that can relate to what you're going through and your stage of life, whether you think it's unique or not. For instance, there's a creator that I grew up, actually, he was my friend's older brother, and he was in a band, they were signed, and he had kids, moved on with life, but somehow he kept making music, and he got big doing vocal covers of the Beach Boys. Older bands, the Beach Boys, the Beatles, all that kind of stuff. He blew up on TikTok doing that. And the reason that it worked for him, it wasn't just his talent. It was that his page tells one clear story. He's the harmony guy. These algorithms are designed not to reward randomness. It pushes what people recognize and what they like, not what just surprises them once. Now, one of the most dangerous things for an artist is when a video finally works, because that's when most artists abandon their story and they chase that spike. Let's say you're doing a piece of content where you're talking about the type of jacket that you have, but you're a musician. That piece of content takes off. Most artists will then go down this rabbit hole of, oh, I need to make more content like that jacket content. But are you now a fashion influencer, or are you an artist trying to make music and get people to listen to your music? Unless the spike is about your music, then you win. Now, if a piece of content does go viral and it doesn't move your music forward, I would treat that like noise and not follow that path any further. Let's say that you were walking in a blizzard at night and you're walking with a big group of people. Everyone has a bunch of matches and they're striking these matches so that they can see. Everybody's cold, they have to keep moving, and so they're striking these matches. Flash, light, and then it's gone. That's most content. Quick sparks in a blizzard. But then in the distance ahead, you see a glowing fire, and it's giving off a lot of light and a lot of warmth. And when people pass the fire, they slow down, not because they were told to, but because the warmth attracts them. And the warmth is rare. They move closer, they sit, and they'll listen, and they'll ask, who built this fire? So in a world of endless scrolling, virality is the match and storytelling is the fire. You don't want people to see your match spark in the dark. You want people to come and sit at your fire. So what kind of story are you going to tell? That is one of the most powerful tools that you can use as an artist. So remember, when you're out there making content for your art, to think about how you're telling your story. Would you actually follow your project, your artist TikTok page, if you just randomly scrolled upon this person? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is no, because storytelling is lacking. Remember, it's built into our DNA. We love stories as humans. Anybody can strike a match, but very few build a fire.